The year is 1831, and a man stands in a shack, reading the Bible before an awestruck but small group of fellow slaves. The man speaks with a fervor as the group gathered begins to whisper that he is a prophet. Then the man lays down his Bible, open to Exodus 13, and he reads, "Then Moses said to the people, 'Commemorate this day, the day you came out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery, because the Lord brought you out of it with a mighty hand.' Then the man looks up and states, 'My friends, the Lord has spoken to me.' This man is Nat Turner, and he is about to become a martyr." Nat Turner was born a slave in 1800 near the small town of Jerusalem, Virginia. His mother was born in Africa and instilled a passionate hatred of slavery in her son. As a young boy, Nat learned to read from one of his slave owner's sons. He grew to be deeply religious, praying, fasting, and immersing himself in the Bible. At age 21, he escaped from his slave owner, Samuel Turner. After nearly starving in the Virginia woods, Nat had a vision which told him, as he stated, to return to the service of my earthly master. He returned a month later. 3 years later, Nat had another vision where, as he stated, the Savior was about to lay down the yoke he had borne for the sins of men, and the great day of judgment was at hand. Turner often preached to his fellow slaves, who called him the prophet. However, Nat also had white followers, such as a man named Ethelred T. Brantley, what a southern name, who Nat said he convinced to quote-unquote cease from his wickedness. By 1828, Nat was convinced that he was, quote, ordained for some great purpose in the hands of the Almighty. He heard a, quote, loud noise from the heavens while working in a field, and, as Nat stated, "The Spirit instantly appeared to me and said the serpent was loosened, and Christ had laid down the yoke he had borne for the sins of men, and that I should take it on and fight against the serpent. For the time was fast approaching when the first should be the last, and the last should be the first." In 1830, a man named Joseph Travis bought Nat, who was eagerly waiting for his sign. On February 12th, Nat witnessed a solar eclipse, and he was convinced that it was his sign. Nat saw the eclipse as a black hand reaching over the sun. He began to prepare for an uprising by acquiring muskets and gathering followers. Nat told a small group of slaves his plan, and they spread the word through the neighborhood in various secret methods, including the use of songs. Turner initially planned a rebellion to begin on the 4th of July, but it was delayed because he became sick. However, on August 13th, the sun appeared in the sky in a bluish-green color due to a volcanic eruption off the coast of far-off Sicily. Nat took this as his sign to begin the rebellion. Nat's plan was to capture the armory in the county seat of Jerusalem, free as many slaves as possible, then escape into the dismal swamp 30 miles to the east, where tracking them would be difficult. However, things would not go according to plan. On August 21st, Nat and 6 men met in the woods to eat and plot. At 2 in the morning, they went to the Travis household, where they killed the whole family. They then moved from house to house, killing the slave owners and freeing slaves. The Richmond Enquirer reported in the aftermath of the rebellion, Turner declared that indiscriminate slaughter was not their intention after they attained the foothold, and was resorted to in the first instance to strike terror and alarm. However, the rebels eventually numbered over 70, marching toward the county seat of Jerusalem on a bloody campaign, killing many of the white people they encountered, save for a few that Nat Turner believed, quote, thought no better of themselves than they did of the slaves. When the rebels were confronted by an organized group of militiamen, however, they scattered and became disorganized. After spending a night near a group of slave cabins, Nat and his rebels attempted to attack another plantation house, but were fought back, with several being captured. Then, a force of state and federal troops attacked the rebels, where one slave was killed and the rebellion was violently put down. Nat escaped, however. Nat hid in many areas near the old Travis farm, but was found on October 30th and captured. His, quote, confession was written down by physician Thomas Gray while Nat was in prison. On November 5th, Nat was tried and sentenced to execution. On November 11th, Nat was hung and then skinned by the authorities of Virginia. Around 60 white people were killed in Nat's rebellion, but the number of black Americans killed was far higher. While the state of Virginia executed around 55 people, white mobs killed up to 200 in the area, many of whom had nothing to do with the rebellion. Slaves as far away as North Carolina were accused of taking part in the revolt and executed. Massacres of slaves even made it as far as Alabama. The state legislature of Virginia considered abolishing slavery, but in a close vote chose to instead keep slavery and further repress the black population. Nat never had a last name in his life and was called Nat Turner after the rebellion by news outlets that gave him the last name of his first slave owner. Nat Turner's rebellion ended the Southern myth that slaves were content or too subservient to mount an armed resistance. The black population of Southampton County came to refer to the rebellion as Old Nat's War, or Nat's Fray. Nat became a martyr for the abolitionist movement, and in 1861, during the war which would see his people's emancipation, Northern journalist Thomas Higginson described Nat in an article in Atlantic Monthly as a man who knew no book but the Bible, and that by heart dedicated himself, soul and body, to the cause of his race. Thanks for watching.